Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday edition, Tesla Tuesday, as I guess we should be calling it. And as, Liz points out in the chat, what a non-event, at least from a price move perspective. The big question I have is, what does all this mean for Tesla going forward? What's the price action mean? What do the deliveries mean? And what I wanted to do is run through all the numbers I could get. Now, granted, I've been exceptionally busy this afternoon, so I don't have all of the information, but I got a bunch of data here that I gleaned from their document that they released. So let's just check out. You have, Andrea says, the popcorn trade. Well, normally the popcorn trade looks like this, with really big swings back and forth before finally taking a specific direction. Now, if we go out here and look at Tesla, I don't really see that big action. Right now, it's flat. It's unchanged on the day, surprisingly. Now, here's your 5-minute time frame of it. Now, I guess you could argue that you had this big spike up. So here's where we closed at 238.05. And then it shot all the way up to a high price. What's that high number there? $250. Right? We shot up to $250, which is really only $12. That's not that big of a move, honestly, for Tesla. And now pretty much unchanged in the after-hour session. So really kind of it was one pop, but didn't have multiple pops to it. It just had one surge and then went flatline. And I'll be honest, looking at the numbers, I'm shook. And is Big Eb here today? I think Big Eb probably is looking at this too, thinking, how can you have numbers like this that we're going to show you and barely move the needle here? So I was kind of surprised. Yeah, Elon Musk, as Oliver says, he could change everything with his comments. And remember, generally what he does is he really is a cheerleader, positive outlook. So if anything, it seems like it should be moving up from here. All right, let's look at the numbers. Here's Tesla's earnings. I'll start with a bunch of different stuff here. And again, I just threw as much as I could in here to get the numbers going. But their earnings per share versus forecast. So they actually came out at 27 cents per share versus 42. I'll tell you, that's a huge miss. I mean, that is a very big miss with regards to their earnings numbers. I believe that's a 38%. And actually, the expectation number I'm seeing varies between 42 and 44 cents. So it's roughly a 38 to 40% miss on earnings per share. That's bad, but we knew that was going to happen, right? We knew that there was going to be some backlash for this, Musk hate, and that could drop their numbers. But there's a bigger picture here. So let's dive deeper into, we have the earnings per share. Revenue, I thought, was really interesting. You had their revenue versus forecast. They made $19.34 billion versus expectations of $21.4 billion. Now, that certainly is a lot less. That's actually a decline year over year of 9%. So not a good number here, right? To see that kind of decline year over year. You want to see this growing, and we'll get to what the numbers and drivers are for growth going forward. But that's certainly not a very good number to start off with when you have revenue declining like that. Next number on your screen is where this came from. So, why are we seeing such a decline there? Well, the primarily weakness in automotive segment. That's really where this came from. Their automotive segment dropped 20% year over year. Now we'll look at deliveries in a minute. We'll look at the forecast for deliveries. But this is where we have this discussion with people who say Tesla is a car company, and then Tesla is much more than that. If you look at Tesla as a car company, as only a car company, you got to short it. You have to short it. If your numbers look like this, your earnings per share miss, your revenue forecast miss, you're down 9% year over year on your revenue, your automotive segment is down 20% year over year, you've got to look at this as a short opportunity. I imagine short sellers are right now writing newsletters on how you need to short Tesla. It is garbage. Okay, hold on. So that's with the perspective that Tesla is a one-dimensional automotive company. And everybody here agrees, I think everybody here agrees, that Tesla is not an exclusive automotive company. They are in so many other facets there that I think it's critical we check that out. So let's go back here. I don't know why my screen feels like it's stuck. Are you guys stuck? Everything looks okay. All right, I'm not sure why my screen is frozen, but all right, I'll just let that go. Energy storage and generation. I'm hoping my stream's okay. You guys okay? Is my stream okay? I have you on super low latency today, so I assume there's going to be some little issues, but let me know if there's issues with the feed. Here is where we saw gigantic increases. Okay, good. Glad it's all good. I don't know why my screen is showing a spinning wheel, but glad everything's okay. 67% year-over-year increase in energy storage and generation. This is an aha moment for anyone who says, oh, they're just a car company. They're just a car company. I know when we had Don Fron on the other day, one of his guys was kind of prodding him a little bit because he says it's just a car company. 67% year-over-year increase in their energy storage and generation. This is great for them. And the numbers are pretty staggering here. 1.6 billion to 2.7 billion. Now, this segment seeing such robust growth, should make anybody who is thinking of buying into Tesla feel a little bit more confident here that there are other areas of their business to salvage them and kind of keep them moving up if one part of their business falters. So that's energy storage and generation. Oh, but wait, there's more. You have the services and other revenue that they cited on their balance sheet, which had 15% year-over-year growth. Now, of course, that's a great number, but it's not huge like their automotive. It went from 2.28 billion to 2.64 billion. All in all, pretty darn good. I mean, I personally, I look at this, I'm thinking, well, that's great. You have other market segments. So you've got, from the automotive perspective, Tesla looks pretty bad right now. Well, granted, I think that they'll right themselves once they get past this. But what other good news, bad news situations do we have? Well, let's dive deeper into this. Diving into some more of their numbers, gross profit decreased by 15% year over year. That, of course, is very bad. You want to see gross profit increasing. Well, gross profit went from 3.69 billion to 3.15 billion. Their operating income decreased 66% year over year, and their operating margins dropped to 2.1% from 5.5% year over year. Now, those numbers are awful. For any normal business, I would say, God, this looks pretty bad. The trend is we're sloping down here. You're losing money. Your profit margins are shrinking. And many people have cited that Tesla is operating off of thinner and thinner margins as more and more competition comes into this space, right? And then that would make sense. A large part of this is rising costs, and hopefully they can keep some of these costs down, but that gross profit number is certainly not very appealing. Granted, there are some other market segments which look pretty good. Big Ed says, globally, Tesla auto sales are sinking. BYD is hurting them. Yeah, BYD, you've got VinFast, which is another big one. You've got Li Motors. There's a lot of great competition, and I'm hoping that new technology, new car companies will spur them to revamp their line and maybe come out with something even better that puts them above BYD Motors. But again, it's the cost of competition, right? BYD can manufacture those cars much, much cheaper than Tesla can. We're not done yet. I've got a couple other pieces here from the numbers perspective. Deliveries was an interesting one. Down 13% year over year from 336,000 to 336,000 from 386,000. So dropping a 50,000 vehicle shortfall in their deliveries. That's not good. They've produced 362,000 vehicles. That is a decline of 16% year over year. And this to me is probably the biggest one. This is the biggest one right here. They withdrew their growth forecast. Now, they had forecasted a growth rate of 20 to 30%. Clearly, that's not going to happen. So when I look at these numbers, I figure Elon Musk right now, looking at the stock price, probably looks like this. He's got this kind of, I don't know, geez. Their share price, I still don't get it. I got to be honest, I don't get it. I don't get why it's literally unchanged on these pretty bad numbers here. Now, maybe it was built in, right? Maybe it's the expectation that everyone kind of saw this coming. We could look at the share price here over the past few months, and from the December 18th peak to where we are right now, Tesla is still down 51%. So while those numbers are declining and looking pretty weak, are we already seeing that priced in? And part of me feels like it is priced in. Yeah, I don't know if Sava says, weren't the car deliveries already known? I'm not sure if they were completely known, but certainly there was an expectation that deliveries were going to miss expectation, right? That's an easy number to tell if you're an analyst. You can just survey what's going on in the industry. You would have seen that the deliveries were much lower than expected. So that's not a big surprise. I think the parts that I thought would impact them more would be some of these declining revenues. I mean, seeing things seeing numbers like their gross profit drop by 15%. That's pretty significant. Now, in the spectrum of what Tesla represents, you have the car company, but you also have the robotic side. And so I'm looking at it now, I have been looking at it as an opportunity for those that feel that these other market segments will now take the lead and lift them back into another era of profitability. The car market, as we mentioned, I think 2 or 3 years ago when I did my special show on EV companies, we talked about how Tesla was the lead dog, but how so many other competitors were getting in the space and starting to not eat the lunch of Tesla, but chip away and snack on some of that lunch a little bit. And over time, we'll see that more diffused. More and more car companies will come onto the market. Certainly China bringing some great competitors with BYD. But what does BYD not do? BYD doesn't have a robotics division. BYD doesn't have battery and energy storage systems. There are other areas where BYD does not have the AI generation, right? The ability to track every single vehicle for millions, I believe something like 8 million miles a day. I saw some crazy stat that said, I think it's 8 million miles a day Tesla records all the scenery with all those different cameras. Pretty phenomenal AI, and again, puts them in a lead position. So what does that mean for you and I? Well, I'm upset. I'm not happy, right? I was really under the expectation that those numbers were going to happen. I felt like we were going to see those numbers come out pretty poorly, and we did. And for that, I had this 180 mark on my screen here. That's really where I was hoping we would dip down. And let's be fair, we're not out of the woods yet. Elon Musk could say something at the conference or whatever. Some other numbers could come out that could cause us to dip even more tomorrow morning. But just the fact that that's all we saw, an almost non-event that we didn't get with this earnings, surprises me. I was optimistic we get it sub 200, as I know some of you were, and maybe I would have the opportunity to buy much lower. So as I said, here says earnings call is at 5:30. Great. So was that Eastern time? So I got another 15 minutes or so, 17 minutes. That could have an impact here. But remember, Elon Musk is a cheerleader. He usually embellishes things. So if we know that the full FSD is, let's say, a year out. Let's say we don't get full self-driving cars in the U.S. across the board, meaning legal across the board, till let's say next December. He'll say it's going to be ready this December, right? That's typically what he does to get things really excited and get you all fired up about it. So we shall see. That press conference is going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to watch live with you guys because I'm going to wrap up hopefully a little bit earlier today so I can get set. Todd's going to come record some stuff in my studio. But that's your Tesla numbers. Again, I'm really surprised, and like I made the kind of joke graphic here with Midjourney. I feel like this is kind of what Elon Musk is thinking, like, wow, probably expected it to get hurt a little bit more. Another interesting part here is if you look at growth of companies when they're really starting to surge and prices get low enough where they feel like, hey, it would be in our best interest to buy into our own company. There might be a time here coming where Tesla's a share buyback, especially when your shares are down 50 something percent, right? So wild ride today for Tesla. Non-event from the earnings announcement, which leads us to my next topic here. And I guess what do I want to think with Tesla? Right now, I would just be on a holding pattern. I want to see what happens tomorrow morning. And if we get a big drop tomorrow morning, I may reconsider my buying position here, but we'll see. Right now, I'm not going to jump on it. I do think you'll see more downside movement here just because the numbers were just pretty bad. That brings us to this, the market roller coaster. I'll run through our top 8 market segments as I normally do. Honestly, great day if you're a crypto holder. I see Big Eb saying, speaking of surging, Bitcoin absolutely looking great. Right now on the futures, we're at 91,600, your best performer on the day. But let's start at the bottom, shall we? Let's go to that 10-year yield. So the 10-year yield was unchanged on the day, a 0.36% slide. So not that big of a deal for the 10-year yield. Again, my concern is that this keeps on drifting up. I was of the impression we'd see this drifting lower. That's because that's what Trump and Bessent want, is they want lower yields. But I think China and other foreign countries are saying, we'll sell your bonds, drive those yields up, and hurt you where it counts, which is money and debt. So that was not that big of a change here, down 0.36%. Gold, though, clearly reflecting a risk-on type of environment, right? Again, when risk-off happens, people buy into gold, and we've seen that happen here. And all of a sudden today, you have a gigantic, almost a shooting star. It's not really a shooting star technically. if you're a shooting star, in my opinion, this little red body that you see here on today's candle should be in the bottom third of that candle. It's not. It's kind of in the middle third, so not really a shooting star, but you could play it the same way, which is if it breaks today's low, that low point, which I will put on the screen for you guys in snap mode so it stays there. That low point is 3,379 on the gold futures. Again, if it starts to drift down below that, that will probably be a very bullish sign for the equity markets and therefore more downside movement for gold there. So there you go. I hope you don't have a spinning stop. Tube top 1, 2, 3. Yeah, my one's spinning. Gold more like a spinning top candle. Yeah, you would call this pattern, some will call it a long-legged doji, some will call it a spinning top, long legs, which I think is where you're going with, Lisa. You got that long topping tail there, basically representing a tremendous amount of volatility, but all in all, to me, it looks like you're going to get a pullback here on gold, which is, we're about due, right? We were about due on this one. We got very close to the bullish flag target object, which is way up there at, 35, 45. Thought we were going to get there. All right, dollar index, the Dixie, it's bounced as anticipated off that demand zone down around that 98 level. Today you saw a 0.62% increase up to 98.92. What does it mean? Well, logically it means it should be moving back up towards this 99 to 100 mark on that dollar index before continuing its downtrend, which, as you can all see here, has been pretty aggressive since early 2025. Now, crude oil having a bit of a pop as well, but it's really just been jarring back and forth. Big up day, big down day, big up day, big down day. We had a 2.02% increase on crude oil today. From a trend perspective, look, they say the trend is your friend till the bend at the end. If you're going off an 8-9 day trend, sure, looks like we're moving to the upside here, but I'd be a little skeptical on this one the higher it goes and be ready for more downside movement. Now the good stuff. S&P 500. Technically, there's nothing really that exciting other than a bullish engulfing pattern, right? You got a little about activists painted the bull on Wall Street. Hey, look, I saw another one that showed activists, sitting in front of the Tesla dealership, vandalizing the buildings. That shouldn't be a slap on the wrist. If you go and vandalize any business, regardless of whether it's Tesla or anything else, you should be fined for that. And you know what? Good. Let them get fined. More fines for defacing public property, regardless of if it's a left business or a right business or whatever. I don't care. You deface someone's business, that should be uncalled for. So fine those people. They fine the bull. Who is that? Is the bull left or right? The bull, I guess, is that representation of capitalism, right? So maybe you have people that are upset against capitalism, and that's fine too. Let's just deport them to some place that doesn't have the freedoms that we have here today. Get them out of here. You're going to complain about the opportunity you have? Beat it. Okay, S&P, 2.51% move. Excellent day. Great day. Is this a bullish engulfing? Technically, no, because it does not include the lower bottom and tail of yesterday's candle. But I'll let it slide, right? I'll let it slide. NASDAQ, even better, 2.58, but they're pretty much the same thing. And then the Russell, 2.61. Very rare that you see them this close together. 0.2 of a point separating all three of these broad market indexes. There's nothing technically here that says, hey, this is a great sign, other than it's just a green candle, which I'm sure many are here going, we want green candles, right? And then your victor for the day, Bitcoin, looking great. This, for me personally, and for many of you, this is one you're like, thank goodness. Could this be it? Is that corner being turned right now on Bitcoin? Because we've now kind of made a new swing high. We broke those highs from back in March. We've stopped falling. We'll see if this momentum continues. But, we should have started this bull market move about 2 months ago. And we've kind of been stuck here. So hopefully we'll see this continue on up. It was a great day for me. As you guys know, I've got a pretty large position in MSTR, which was up 20 or 25 points today. Whew, I've got the 352.5 call options on this one. I didn't think we'd even get close this week. Man, if we get above that 352.50, I'll probably buy back my call options and let it keep running, because I do think that the big move here is about to happen. I also own IBIT. I've got a bunch of IBIT in another account. So, lot of opportunity there. So are my MicroStrategy covers calls going to get run over? Maybe, Lisa. Mine might. Big Eb says it's going to 3 by Friday, Big Eb? You think 370 by Friday? Man, I hope so. I'll gladly buy back my 352.50 puts, or calls, excuse me. Well, all right. Big Eb, you're long MSTR. Do you have calls against yours, or are you just leaving that top off? Sounds like you're leaving the top off. Lee says 360, 370, covered calls on Microsoft. Oh, there you go. Staggered out. I probably should have done higher numbers, but I wanted a better rate of return. I forgot the number I got for the 352.50s, but, all in all, that has been a great trade for me. I've been in an MSTR. I actually have to go look at my spreadsheet. I think I've been in MicroStrategy for like 2 months now, and just constantly selling premium along the way. So this little, dip down here, we went all the way back down, all the way down to like 235, 230. That was a painful moment, but the whole time I've been selling premium, and now all of a sudden we're back up to, on most of my MicroStrategy, I'm well above my entry price, turning out to be a phenomenal trade. I know. I love the premiums on it. Lisa, I like it. It's just, as you guys know, I'm starting to grow more and more skeptical on MicroStrategy. Now, if Bitcoin rallies, I'm not worried at all. If Bitcoin rallies, MicroStrategy is a non-event. That's fine. Let's enjoy the premium. If Bitcoin falls, MicroStrategy could find itself in a pretty tough situation. So this is certainly a sigh of relief for anyone who's in MicroStrategy. I had a bunch of capital in other accounts. So I'm basically telegraphing everything I do. I call it the Trader Merlin account, where I've been walking you through the trades I'm in. In other accounts, I had some MicroStrategy on as well. I've now moved that to NVIDIA. So I've got a bunch of different NVIDIA positions on. I've got 100 strikes. I've got 93 strikes. The 93, I've got some pretty heavy quantity at the 93s. We'll see if that ultimately pans out. But it's premiums. Premiums are good. Yeah, I'm with you, Steven. And that's what's making me a little bit nervous. I'd like to lighten my load a little bit, but the rate of return is just so hard to walk away from. All right, let's see. Let's go back to our list here. So I'm going to go back down to some of the Magnificent 7 stocks. What time we got here? Okay, 23. Perfect. Look at the Magnificent 7 list today. So NVIDIA was doing pretty good today. Again, I've got the 93s and the 100s. Like I said, a pretty big chunk at the 100 strike price. But every one of that Magnificent 7 was doing pretty darn good today. Tesla actually leading that charge, bringing it all the way up 4.6% on the day. Now, it's even up more in the after-hour session. We're up 2.7% now in the after-hour session. But another great day for pretty much those Magnificent 7s. But technically, keep your eye on these charts because Tesla is forming a descending triangle, which is a bearish pattern. Granted, they came out with earnings, but that's simply a bearish pattern. NVIDIA is in a downtrend. Lower lows, lower highs since December. Not a good sign either. Microsoft, not making new lows, but still in that downtrend like we talked about. Google, same picture as Microsoft. Meta, making new lows. So Meta is honestly the worst of the Magnificent 7 right now, just from a technical perspective. Apple, feeling better because it's stabilized here. Of course, I think that this is really dependent on what goes on with the tariff wars. And then Amazon. Amazon looking a little bit weaker than Apple, but stabilized a little bit. So really Meta is the worst one because it's been breaking those lows we saw back here on April 7th. That's your market roller coaster. Quite wild stuff. Now, it really boils down to the tariff stuff. Remember, we talked about it on yesterday's show. Said, I don't know why the hell the market sold off like this on really no bad news. There was really nothing to warrant, no trade tariff stuff. It was just Trump versus Powell. Today, it's a little bit different story. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, was interviewed and gave some very, let's just say, calming and optimistic thoughts on this war with China. Now, I know, this is AI for you. I said, show me peace between the United States and China with regards to trade war. And this is what I got. Obviously, we have the Chinese president looking good. And then I have, apparently, it looks like Joe Biden's face with Donald Trump's hair. Not quite sure what's going on there. Not quite sure what that... Yeah, that's what I thought, Andres. I thought when I first saw it, I go, is that Biden? But I couldn't get a good version where it showed Trump. And I like the fact they're holding hands. I thought that was pretty good. Anyway, Scott Bessent gave some very optimistic and encouraging words with regards to the trade tariff stuff. He's like, look, no one wants this thing to go on long term. I'm not going to give away Donald Trump's strategies or tactics, But, we no one wants us to go on long term. We want to resolve it. And so I think what we're going to get probably, my guess is within 30 days, we'll get some resolution here. And I think when that resolution comes, markets are going to have a pop. So right now it's on the short side, feeling a bit negative. That's why I haven't gone full bore negative. I'm kind of been looking at buying these dips because I think once this does pass this tumultuous atomosity, finger pointing jerk match between two bullies, then I think all of a sudden you're going to get a pretty big pop in the markets, and hopefully I'll be there to capitalize on that. So that was your I think your catalyst for today was Bessent really saying, hey, look, there's some big optimism here. I'm feeling confident we're going to resolve this. Now, one question that came through to me was, what do I think about solar stocks because of the tariffs that are going on? Let's see, hold on. Oh, I said, yeah, did you make sure you said orange hair? No, I did not. I did not put orange hair in there. But that hair definitely looked like Donald Trump's hair, but that was Biden's face. And I thank you, AI, for making weird names there. So I had a question about the tariffs and the issues with these new tariff wars that are going on. So if you haven't been paying attention, there's a tariff war going on with the Southeast Asian countries. And I think it's the Department of Commerce, I believe. The bottom line is there's been an investigation into unfair trade practices by Cambodia, Vietnam, and other areas like that. And we saw a big pop today in some of those solar companies. Now, a lot of people believe that was due, in fact, to these tariffs, which apparently are up to like 3,000% for Cambodia and like 700% for Vietnam. And the only company that I can think of that would really reap those rewards is one that would be a U.S.-based manufacturer. And the only one I can think of off the top of my head is First Solar. So First Solar does a lot of production in the U.S. We saw a pop of 10.53%. So I can't remember who sent that question, but if you look at what's going on with First Solar, obviously they've been impacted by cheap imports coming from Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, etc. Does that mean I want to be buying First Solar? I'll be honest, it's not my thing. I love Tesla. Yeah, they bought, apparently Tesla's solar company, which was Solar City, was his cousin's company that Elon bought on behalf of Tesla. That's the weird one. Anyway. You look at this chart here, and First Solar, I would argue one of the leaders in the U.S. production of solar panels. This is pretty bad. For the people listening to the show on YouTube, or not YouTube, on Apple, you can't see these charts. But from peak back in 2024 in June to our lows we achieved just back here in April, it's a 61% slide. And that's taken 207 days to get there, trading days to get there. Look, I'm not a fan of these companies. I love solar. I wish I had it on my house. I wish everything would be solar. I wish we had solar freeways so the ground that we drive on, especially here in Southern California, would be charging. But it's not. This is one of those speculative plays that is just not for me. I don't feel like First Solar is going to be all of a sudden the phoenix rising from the ashes and jump from 135 back up to 300. I don't think so. Does this help them? If they do, in fact, slap Cambodia with a 3,800% tariff, which is insane, then yeah, what does that do? That makes people more inclined to use First Solar's products that are manufactured here in the United States, got a little domestic pride, and go with them. But for me, personally, I don't know. I'm not a buyer. I like to go with things I know a little bit more about. Certainly know a lot more about AI and technology and chip makers than I do about solar companies and their production. So my thoughts here would be the warnings, right? The big atomosity towards these companies, these countries, meaning Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, the ones that are really like paying a high price here for the tariffs, that will hurt, but ultimately they will resolve it, right? They will cooperate with the investigation and they'll probably remove those tariffs. They can't have that. Their business would die. Cambodia's solar panel industry would completely die with a 3,000% tariff. So they'll just fix it. Steven says, buy. We get a Democratic president back in, but solar companies, in my opinion. But I'm not sure if I understand that one. But yeah, Steven, I think it could be. Well, we certainly got to wait a while until we get to the next election, right? We still got, let's say, 3-point-something years till we get there. So I'm not even considering that. Not a worry for me at all with regards to waiting for a Democratic president. But if we do get a Democratic president, then certainly alternative energy stocks would do better. Right now, you got to be looking at fossil fuel, coal, things like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the solar, even though this one is down so big. What are some of the other companies? I'm trying to think here. I think ENPH. Yeah, Enphase is another one. And a lot of these solar companies look the same. I mean, Enphase was back over at $300. Now it's at 47. It's down 11% in the after-hour session today. You have NXT is another one I can remember. That's Next Tracker. And then, are those one called Array? A-R-O-I? Array Technologies. I mean, here's another one that back in 2020 was $54. Now it's $4. So at some point, these solar companies will probably become a good buy. VST, I think they're a diversified energy, aren't they? I thought Vistra was diversified, not just solar. Yeah, TAN's the ETF. Yep, there you go. So you got a solar ETF, and I guess this says it all, doesn't it? If you go back to 2020, TAN was at a high price of roughly, $121, and here we are at 28. And then there's all this talk about solar. Yeah, I love it. And I want solar on my house, right? I do, but I certainly don't think buying the solar stocks is the right way to go. And that's just me. I know some people are probably holding it for a long time and like, they're really underwater. They've already looked like a good buy. Liz, well done. Instead of goodbye, it is like a good BYE. Love it. All right. Let me real quickly go into what's happening tomorrow, and then I'll go to any questions you guys have. I know I saw a bunch here, but I didn't get a chance to get them. Mike LaRussa says, is it wrong to root on Tesla? It goes, no. You can root for whoever you like, Mike. Look, I'm a Tesla fan. I love the car company, but I like the company, period. I think the future is all robotics and AI, and they are the leader, in my opinion, in robotics. And, one of the leaders in robotics and AI. So, yeah, I'd cheer them on, too. I'll be honest, Mike, I'm cheering against them. Like, I want them to plummet tomorrow morning. I'd love it if they were down 20 or 30%, because then I could beep, back the truck up and buy outright or sell just a boatload of puts and get the margin on it. That's what I would like to do. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Tesla's looking really good in the after-hour session. It's just... And it's never wrong to cheer against a company or for a company. That's your discretion, right? That's the human nature of Americans. We can cheer and go against whomever we want. The key is, in my opinion, if someone in here is like, screw Tesla, and then you're like, Tesla's the greatest thing, and then you guys start fighting about it. Just shrug it off and be like, yeah, I'm cheering for Tesla. Let's hopefully make a bullish trade. I'd like it to drop so I could buy it more, or to add to build a position. I have no open positions right now in Tesla because I've been just too apprehensive. Notice what's going on right now. We're back up to almost the highs from that initial spike. Little roller coaster ride here for Tesla shareholders. But even with all that bad news, I'm pretty sure right now Elon Musk took the stage, shaking the pom-poms, getting things all excited. Probably got his kid X up on his shoulders right now when he's doing the conference and getting more and more people fired up about the future. And I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. Here's what will probably happen, and I'll have to watch this later tonight because tonight's trivia night, but what is probably happening right now is Elon Musk is saying he's trying to downplay the deliveries. He's going to throw it at the liberals and say, these idiots, destroying us. This is all past. But then he's going to go into, he'll deflect. He'll very quickly go past that into AI, Optimus, full self-driving, and robotaxi. Those are three huge market segments. And I think you guys would all agree that if they nail one of those and become the leader in that segment, you're talking, $700-800 valuation for Tesla. Why? Because if they can do the robotaxi, Waymo's got it, but it's not that great. I think Tesla could do more, especially if it gets freeway driving. Then you have the, obviously, Optimus. Get that rolling out. I think you have so many different revenue generation models here for Tesla. Saw an article where short sellers on Tesla had made profits of over $10 billion this year from its fall. Oh, I'm sure, Dwight. I mean, when you look at that chart of Tesla, it's a head scratcher, and I think a lot of it is overdone. Question for you and your money is: do I like it at this current price? Is it a good price for me to jump on? But what's your long haul, right? because I think robotaxi volume production mid-2026. Yeah, volume production. He's saying it should be rolling out by this year. And we'll see. Again, Elon Musk is very big on making grandiose forecasts that aren't met. But as I mentioned, I'm listening to his book. I'm not reading his book, but I'm listening to his book. And it's interesting that every single company that he's worked with, it's always set a deadline that even your employees like, there's no way we'll get there. And he'll says, you either get it done or I'll find people who will get it done. And these guys make it happen. So the only big part here that I think could stifle Tesla achieving those goals is not Tesla itself. I think Tesla will get the robotaxi done. I think all the production will be done. They'll meet whatever deadline's there. In my opinion, the big obstacle is going to be the regulatory approval, right? Getting the Transportation Safety Association on board, all the different agencies that need to sign off on an FSD vehicle, national. That's a big deal. But remember, who's over there doing amazing things for President Trump, at least in the eyes of the Republicans? I'm sure there might be a little quid pro quo here for Elon Musk with regards to President Trump, and that may help fast track some of that bureaucratic red tape that Musk has been facing for quite some time. So we will see. We will see. Isn't the PE ratio still high? I'm not sure, Luis. I haven't looked at the PE ratio, and I'm not even sure if this will reflect it as of today. But I go out here. Oops, that's not where I wanted to go. If I go here and go to these little squares, I can look at financials. I believe this should be updated as of today. Let me go to overview here, and you can see there EPS. What do you want? Oh, you want a forward PE ratio? Trailing 12-month PE ratio 111. That is pretty high. But in my opinion, given all that they're doing, it's not high enough. The robots, that's the future. AI is the future. Driverless cars is the future. Probably the next few years, you're going to have Elon Musk coming out with flying cars and doing things like that. But he'll master this, so I'm not too worried about it. I agree with Big Gab and others. It's going to go higher. I do think you'll see this PE ratio continue to surge up. But remember, right now, the part of the reason that this number surged is their earnings have been cut based off of expectations. So if earnings don't grow at a big enough pace, well, that'll impact that EPS. So hopefully we'll see new revenue streams come in here for Tesla. As I mentioned, we've got quite a few in the pipeline that could potentially start to bring them more and more money. All right, let's see. Let's see what other questions I have. Tesla, Theta Crush. Well, I mean, certainly when you have a big move like this and everybody's thinking the opposite direction, you're going to have massive spikes in all the Greeks. All right. Also, smaller cheap EVs apparently on track for 2025. I'll tell you what, guys. I spent about an hour today looking at Teslas. I might even join that herd. I was looking at how much it's going to cost me to put a charging station in my house. I may go with one. It's just a question of the X. I love my truck, so it's hard for me to make that jump and go from a fossil burning vehicle to an electric one. But I rarely drive my vehicle, so it's really not that big of a deal for me. One other thing I wanted to go into, let's go back down into here into some of our cryptocurrencies, because I know we've had other people asking about crypto, so let me bring that up real quick. When you have the bellwether, which is Bitcoin, take a big lead today and really start to surge, there's quite a few other cryptos here that had great days. LivePeer, which is one that's just absolutely been beaten down here, 37% jump today. If anybody's in my crypto class, the SUI is one that we've been talking about as being kind of the next generation of high throughput, high speed, scalable layer one blockchains, which is what Ethereum is. Just Ethereum has no scalability, or just poor scalability. But all of it really had a pretty big surge today. While I'm excited and happy for a one-day pop, I think you guys can all see here that you're still in the midst of an avalanche. It's stopped for a moment. The question is, do we start to pivot, make some new highs, stabilize here, and see money coming back into crypto? One of the things that was said today by the IMF, I don't know if you guys caught this one. The IMF said that they're really concerned about President Trump's policies regarding crypto and how that could destabilize the European Union. And part of the reason for that is by creating federally approved stablecoins, or the framework for stablecoins, and allowing stablecoins to proliferate in the United States, that could bring in a lot of money from Europe that could buy into these stablecoins. And hey, IMF, that's the point. right? We want the money to come to America and stay in the United States. So yeah, this could certainly have some issues for the European Union and other countries that don't have a good stablecoin framework or are resistant to stablecoins and digital assets. So, this is the chess move I don't think a lot of people are focusing on, which is the stance by Trump on crypto. While I believe it is a purely self-interested, motivated piece to get votes and also to make profits for his family, I think there is some chess piece type of move here, which puts pressure on foreign countries to join that race. So it really does speed up that race of who's going to be first, who's going to be the one that establishes strict rules for stablecoins, opens it up to the entire banking system, and now money moves around the world faster, more efficiently, and who's at the core of it? United States. So that was a pretty big piece today. Question, why the pop? Was there an announcement? So, Stephen, you mean the pop in NVIDIA or in Tesla or in the markets? Which one are you talking about? If you don't go far, electric makes sense, but they are so heavy, destroy tires and suspension. Yeah, Steve, I have a 2016 Toyota Tacoma double cab 4x4 off-road, right? That's my truck. I'm a truck guy. I have, I think, 60,000 miles on it. So 2016, I'm talking 9 years, call it almost 10 years, and it's like 6,000 a year. So I barely have any miles. I barely drive. So electric would probably be perfect for me. Mark says keep it. I probably will. I mean, I pay cash for vehicles. I'll never take a loan out, so I will probably keep my truck. There's no reason for me to get one. It's just a nice upgrade. I do like the technology packages of them. I want FSD, honestly. Mark, that's the reason. I want the FSD. If Toyota Tacomas came out with a full self-driving car, that's it. I'm loving it. I love it. Because I put 100,000 miles on a Model S and only replaced tires once. Wow, good for you. No, I'm definitely not buying a Cybertruck. No interest in Cybertruck. I think looks stupid. I was looking at either X or the Y. I like the X gull-wing doors. I want something that has ideally more space in the vehicle to carry things around. Again, my dog is so old, he can't make it up in my truck anymore, so I thought something that's a little bit lower might be beneficial for him. Yes, I'm buying a car for my dog, all right? Don't hate on me. I'm buying I'll buy a Model X for my dog, my German Shepherd. That's it. All right, so yeah, that was pretty much it. I wanted to get to the chart there of Ethereum and crypto because that to me is a pretty important space. However, as Steve asked, what was the reason for the pop? I think a lot of it was technical and just money moving into risky assets. So I'll go to the futures here. If you look at the price chart, it's been granted in a downtrend since this peak we had on January 21st of this year. And why? This is the tough problem I've had, or tough discussion I've had with all my students is, how can you justify such a massive sell-off in all of crypto when you have so much positive news? And I feel like this is somewhat orchestrated. Now you're watching money shift into something else. And I think that a lot of the bond money might be coming into Bitcoin. So you have a lot of people selling U.S. bonds, those 10 years like China, selling. Maybe they're coming into it. Michael Saylor's been buying more. And ultimately, I don't see one specific point that I would point my finger at and say that's what caused the pop today. I just think it's pent-up demand and maybe some shorts getting liquidated because there are a lot of people who have been short on this sell-off here. The question is, does it continue, right? Do we get back up to the 108? I am a believer that we will, certainly in the next couple months. Again, I still think 250 is your logical price target, although every day it's going to get harder and harder to achieve that price target by November of this year. What is technically the best looking crypto from all your charts right now? That's tough. I have to go by not just the technicals. I got to go by what I like, right? Which projects I like the most. So, I'm a fan of Cardano, but it does not look good. I'm a fan of Aptos. It does not look good, right? Aptos and Sui are pretty much the same thing. I'm a fan of Avalanche. It doesn't look good. So all these layer ones are not looking good. Bitcoin, I would argue, is the best looking of them so far on this list of just real quickly I'm running through. Let's go to Ethereum. Looks absolutely awful. Absolutely horrible. So I wouldn't have Ethereum as my wanting to purchase. You've got Chainlink. They all look really bad, right? Now let's go to things like Solana, which has also been very bad, but technically We are right back up to this. It feels almost like you're starting an inverted head and shoulders pattern on Solana. So I like Solana from a bullish perspective. Even though it's in a pronounced downtrend, I do like that nice little pop to the upside. Here is SWI, which is a layer 1 blockchain that's very fast and scalable and has big money behind it. Notice it's also broken some recent highs, but everything looks like garbage. I'll be honest. I mean, it all looks like garbage, Mike. Ripple. Ripple actually looks okay. I don't like Ripple. However, they've got 42 billion Ripple coins held by the company, which means they got roughly $80 billion, actually roughly $90 billion that they have to build, develop, and more importantly, lobby Washington and Capitol Hill. So I think that if you're going to buy cryptos right now, and I said give me 3, I hate saying it, but number 1's Bitcoin. Number 2, I would say, is Solana. And number 3 would be Ripple. And the only reason I'm saying Ripple is because Ripple has so much cash on hand that they can manipulate and buy their way into corporate operations, the politicians' pockets, and get bills to benefit them. That's the only reason I think Ripple. So, again, they've been on a pretty big downtrend for the past few months. Not liking where we're at, but could this be the turning point? If you feel like that, then those would probably be 3 of the top that I would look to. But again, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I just like those chart patterns the best. So do your own due diligence. Be careful. We could still go down even more. Okay, let's go to your earnings calendar for mañana. See what we've got cooking there. For tomorrow, you have a couple more big names. I'll sort by market cap here. You got Philip Morris, IBM, AT&T, Thermo Fisher, ServiceNow, Boston Scientific, NextEra Energy, Texas Instruments, Boeing. I mean, you have a lot of companies. And before I show you all those, or now after, I wanted to real quickly go back and see what happened here because I did not see what happened with Raytheon. Let's sort by market cap. So Raytheon and Lockheed Martin reported today. Raytheon beat earnings. That's funny. They beat earnings by 8.9%, and they're down 9% in the after hours. And Lockheed Martin, they beat earnings as well, and they're up 0.8%. That's really interesting. RTX getting smoked in after hours. Must have said something bad or lost a contract. There's your RTX here. Boom. Painful, painful, painful. Yes, I think ISRG was today. So there's your Intuitive Surgical earnings today. Yes, they beat earnings. So slight update down in the after hour session, 471. Yeah, they beat earnings today. And then on the economic announcement front, let's go to my Forex factor here and show you what we got cooking for our Wednesday session. It's all about services and manufacturing numbers tomorrow. You've got them all through Europe, France, Germany. You have the EU as a whole and the UK. All of that happens before 4:30 in the morning Eastern time. And then our numbers come out at 9:45. So 15 minutes into the trading day, you get the U.S. flash services and manufacturing numbers. At 10 o'clock, you get new home sales. So those are pretty big numbers for tomorrow. I'm personally interested in this new home sales just because mortgage rates, and we've been kind of flatlined here and not doing much. It will have an impact here on new home sales going forward. We shall see. All right. That's going to do it for me, everybody. I want to wrap up just a little bit earlier so I can go and get my studio all set up for Mr. Davis to do some recording. All in all, a pretty darn good day. Let's see if we get some follow through on tomorrow's session. Tesla, if it had a great earnings announcement, could have helped lift this market. The fact that it's not tanking right now could be a big positive piece for the markets tomorrow as buyers may come in and feel this is an opportunity. So feeling optimistic for tomorrow's session, some more upside movement. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, things you want to know, email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com or comment down below any of our YouTube videos. I say our YouTube videos because they're all yours as well. That said, thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day, and I will see you mañana.